Hello everyone, this is Mubarak Ali Khan and I hope you're enjoying good health. Respected listeners, please ask me that why I'm super excited today. After so long, Mr. Kasser is in the house and I don't know where he had been wandering. He had to say so much to me. But before he talks about his personal voyage or journeys, wherever nook or the corner of the world he went to, behind the scenes, Sir Kasser, I have started a portal in which I launched a statement. It says, Mr. Kasser missing.
Goodness gracious. All right, okay.
People had been asking about you, where is the friend? And
Extremely kind.
yeah, but okay, let's talk about that. That
Uh-huh.
how and where were you? But people were tagging you and they were asking that we need the following questions to be answered
Oh, interesting.
by our scholar, of course. Nonetheless, the one.
Humble.
So, sir, I have jotted down the points. I'll try and make it super formal so that I could get to know how the audience could get to know about the things very well. from you.
Absolutely. I would try my best to answer all the questions that you brought up, and it would be nothing but a pleasure.
Yeah. In the questions, basically, I have tried making it systematic. Pardon me if I am asking difficult questions from you, but this is what the society, the world, the aliens, the mountains wanted to listen from you.
I would love to.
Okay.
Whatever I can.
Okay, let's see what comes out of this intellectual conversation.
I believe so.
Shall I begin, Sir Kasser?
Yeah, absolutely.
My first question: who is a polymath?
That's a very interesting question and right up my alley. That's how the expression goes. Anyway, so polymath basically is someone who has his command over multiple disciplines at once. All right, I could give you certain examples. Back in the day, Leonardo da Vinci, one of the individuals who inspired the world, into creating stuff. He was into multiple disciplines.
Okay.
Same goes for one of his disciples, Niccolo Machiavelli. All right. They were, people like that. You could go towards, Islamic golden age as well. You could talk about, all the Muslim philosophers who were at the same time doctors, engineers, and I don't know what else, political theorists, etc., etc. So being a polymath, is all about, having your expertise in multiple fields or multiple disciplines at once.
All right. So, do you think it's somehow associated with polyglot, who can speak different languages?
That's an interesting reference, basically,
Yeah.
because when you talk about polymath and polyglot, poly is a word that is kind of common between the two.
For multidisciplinary?
Exactly.
Okay.
Polygamy. All right, that's
Polygamy.
another term. All right, so poly is like multiple. That's the
What
idea.
is polygamy? We'll talk about that later.
Someday.
All right, great, sir. I hope that you have completed your question, answer,
My pleasure.
and the people have digested that, of course. If
Hopefully.
you haven't, then he is around, inshallah. Now,
Yeah.
I think so.
You may come up with as many questions as you like. It's always a pleasure answering them.
Great, sir. My second question: what's better, jack of all trades, or master of one?
Interesting. So first of all, let me just extend it
Yeah.
because this particular proverb in this form is not complete.
Yeah.
All right. When we talk about the complete proverb, it's basically jack of all trade, master of none.
None.
Still better
Okay.
than master of one.
Yeah.
That's the full proverb, by the way.
Okay.
All right.
Why is that? I have heard till none. Jesus,
Exactly.
okay.
So most of the people, they
Yeah.
know this proverb till this point. So the
Okay.
proverb itself, when you go, in detail, it kind of elaborates upon itself. So the idea is, the more you know about things, the better you'd be able to connect all the dynamics, that you have around you in multiple disciplines.
All right,
You would be able to connect discipline to discipline and maybe end up becoming a better individual, a better human being, all right? A
Fine.
better expert, at things.
All
You'd
right.
have a holistic point of view when it comes to, various areas of expertise or interest. So being master of one is always handy in terms of
Money.
being probably career oriented. If you're career oriented, and probably looking for maybe expertise in one discipline. And we have different types of people as well. There are people who are comfortable with just following one stream of work or one line of expertise, and then there are people who are interested in savoring everything that life has to offer.
All right. Okay.
So-
So basically, you promote this.
I love the idea. I love the idea of being, you call it jack, you call it whatever, right? But being good at almost everything that you possibly can, because this life has to offer so much.
Of course.
And each experience enriches you in terms of your, expertise, the way you look at things. All right, it's more of an exposure-related question.
You mean to say that if I am a language instructor, so being a musician with that is not something
That
negative.
would exactly, because that would complement the idea, because there is a rhythm in language, there is a rhythm in music, all right? There are so many common grounds between disciplines or interdisciplinary studies, you know, that
Oh, yeah.
eventually once you achieve something, or when you get somewhere, of course in the beginning it'll be like very confusing, all right? You'll be
Right.
overwhelmed at times probably, but eventually
Well,
once-
at this notion, it reminds me of the song you once sang for the audience.
Uh-huh.
If I were a rich
Rich
man.
man. Indeed,
Okay, so right, so I would connect it with being polymath as well as with this. For
Right.
example, if the one who is with that,
Of course.
he's the one who can do multiple things,
Indeed.
and he will promote that.
I love the idea.
And whatever he promotes, I'm with him, of course. Be it GSL or
AOI.
AOI. Okay. Sir, my next question.
Please.
I have wrote it down so that I don't deviate from the
Specifics.
It's from one of my students. Her name is Varda,
Right.
and she says, "Was classical mode of learning better or modern trends?" And she said, "Elaborate with 3 exclamation marks."
All right, right on point. Okay, so that once again, you know, is something that would connect to, you know, being a polymath, or being someone, you know, who's jack of all trades, or, you know, who has, you know, his proverbial hand in multiple pies.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So the idea is classical mode of learning promoted, very much promoted, you know, studying whatever you could. All right, developing yourself in whatever possible way you could. Modern way of learning kind of stems from the industrial age, post-industrial age, when, you know, machines took over. You know, these big corporations, giant corporations, they required individuals with specific skill sets,
Yeah.
who would, you know, work on those giant machines, or a factory line. I mean, what do you call them? You know, production lines,
Okay.
etc., and then work their way to, you know, develop certain things. For example, there would be a line manager, there would be an engineer, there would be a technician, there would be, you know, another goods
So on
handler.
and so
all right,
forth,
exactly.
yeah.
You must have seen them, you know, in different videos. I mean, Charlie Chaplin was infamous, you know, in this regard. He made a film on this as well, which is quite ironic, to me, to
Yeah,
be very honest,
yeah,
considering that we are adopting almost the same set of, you know, learning,
Okay.
which he predicted back in the day.
Okay.
So yes, it is something that, you know, modern day or modern age
Mhm.
has come up with. It's a fruit of modern day. That's what I would say.
And if you recapitulate the question, what would you say as a concluding line of this?
I would say you should always look into ways where you could, you know, perhaps considering, you know, reality or
Okay.
whatever we have to deal with on day-to-day basis, you could be master of one trade, you know, being a follower of modern education system, but at the same time, do not let your spirit die or fade away just because you are, you know, involved in a certain specific trade. Develop, grow, you know, live with the classical idea of learning, you know, aspire to inspire. That's the idea. All right, be things. All right,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you should be aware of, say, you know, modern engineering, or maybe at the same time you should be a good poet. Perhaps not a good poet, maybe a mediocre poet, but you should be aware of how these things work. Maybe you should know something about medicine. All right, perhaps you should know about, I mean, something about geology, chemistry, biology.
Okay, all right, okay. From Alexander Fleming to William Wordsworth, then
Precisely.
then going into some other.
Yeah.
So you mean to say it's always good to explore,
It is.
and then stay in touch with the classical, but keep going with the modern age too.
Precisely.
If I recapitulate.
The idea is to, you know, a blend of tradition and innovation. That's how we must look at things.
Tradition and innovation.
At the same time.
Okay. It connects with the next question.
Please.
It's been presented on our Insta. It says, "How would you, as a teacher, teach any subject?" It's a kind of subjective opinion of yours. We require.
I totally understand. So my way of teaching, once again, is a reflection of who I am personally.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, we are a product of all the experiences that we have had, you know, in life.
Yeah.
So my way of teaching is always, okay, this is something that I believe in. All right. When
Alright.
you're teaching,
Yes.
all right, actively teaching in a classroom, you know, be it online, not very much online, but then again, when you're teaching, when you're in a classroom environment, you're not actually teaching. You're teaching and learning at the same time. It's a very reciprocal process.
Yeah.
That's what you need to understand, especially with mature students, you know.
Of course.
Students of, you know, universities and colleges, because they have developed as human beings as well. They have a certain sense of, you know, understanding of life itself.
Yeah.
And if you kind of interact with them, considering whatever subject you're teaching, you may come across so many points of view actually, that you would be amazed, and you would probably mold your life or you mold your thinking based on how they take things, because of course, as humans, we interact, we connect, and develop our thoughts, accordingly.
Especially in, sorry to cut you, sir,
please.
especially in IELTS Part 2, I had been observing students, for example, when it say describe something,
Right.
we have a complete different notion of something, and even a very mediocre or basic learner would give you an idea which blow up your mind, and you would say, how does he come up with this idea on the table?
I totally agree. Sometimes experts fail. Where I
and beginners win. Okay, let me
exactly.
complete.
Where beginners win, experts fail. Whatever, however you put it, that's how it is.
All right, sir. Allow me to move on to the next one. I hope you guys are not getting bored. If you are, just pause it here. Have a glass of water, a gulp of a drink or glass of water, and then come back and enjoy with us. We have 2 more questions, by the way, if you are staying with us for longer. Sir Kesser, again the same thing. How to be creative with teaching. It's a teacher, by the way. He is teaching maths, and he has asked me this question. That please do add this question in the talk. How to be creative with teaching. What would you say on that?
That's a very interesting and a very dynamic question. That's what I would say, because teaching itself is an art. All right. You may have come across teachers, throughout your lives, and there may be like 1 or 2 that you would remember till death. Why? You need to ask yourself that question.
And do let us know too that if we are those teachers who have taught you.
Yeah, I mean, if we hold that sort of rank, in any of your lives, do let us know. That helps.
Just a 5-star ranking, nothing special.
That sort of thing, and a subscription maybe to the channel, right?
Of course, why not? And hitting the like button and consider sharing too.
Absolutely.
If it suits you somehow.
It serves the purpose, that's the idea.
Sir, let me reconnect with you.
Please.
The question is how to be creative with teaching. I got the kind of background of it. So what would be there in the...
Okay, so the previous question also, kind of, it kind of connects somehow, and I believe, to become interesting or creative, as a teacher, one must have a, 360 view of what's happening around them.
Okay.
I'll give you an example.
Sure.
My students, for instance, let's say O levels or A levels, all right, young kids, right, teenage.
Yeah.
How do we know teenagers? They're very much abrupt, or they're very much expressive, or they're very much rowdy.
True.
That's how we know. So what you know them. So the way I would actually exercise my skill of teaching would be by going down to their levels.
Okay.
Right, different levels, different categories. I would go down there.
Right.
I would kneel down. For instance, you're meeting a young kid. All right.
Okay.
It's an occasion of a festivity, for example. All right.
All right.
You have to hug them. What do you do? There are 2 ways.
Yeah.
You either grab them, pick them up, all right, and then
Okay.
hug them, or you go down to your knees and you grab them, go down to their sides.
Okay.
That's how you make things work.
All right. And if you're mistaken and people take you that you're proposing someone, then what would you do?
A kid? We don't want to go there, right?
Okay.
But
Fine.
then
Of
again,
course.
a child.
A child, yeah.
Exactly. So the point is, when it comes to teaching, being creative is in your hands and it's your skill. Make sure you exercise it. Do not expect the student to come up to your level.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason why he's a student or he or she is a student.
Yeah, and you're a master.
You are the master. So you need to understand, you need to manipulate your learning techniques or teaching techniques and come up with something that is fruitful. So I was telling you this example, O-level students. How would I interact with them? Or that age, basically.
Yeah.
I would talk to them about, for example, if the lecture was about some sort of history, I would talk to them about, not history, but a certain video game. I'm sorry. There are multiple video games. I don't want to be specific here because we're not endorsing a brand or anything. The idea is I would tell them about a certain video game that has, certain historical elements to it.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe certain missions. There are many action video games that have been inspired, by certain historical events back in the day.
True.
For example, based on World War II.
Okay, of course.
So if I'm delivering a lecture on World War II, I would give them some interesting content to explore. I would suggest them to play a video game because that goes hand in hand with their interest.
So seamlessly they will learn it.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
And there may be certain. Excuse me. There may be
Shall I
certain.
fetch some water?
Would that be possible?
Of course.
Thank
Make
you.
yourself comfortable. So actually, this person was not sure what he has to say, you know. That's why he's just doing it. Sir Kessler, you were saying something.
Yes. Sorry about
All
that.
right, pardon
So-
me with the thing, but I wanted to engage them in your absence.
No worries, no worries. You know, you may do whatever you like.
Sir Kessler, take two, action.
All right, fair enough. So we're talking about being creative. So I would tell them about, to maybe play a certain video game.
World War you mentioned as an example.
Exactly. And then they would come back to me after, say, a week or so, after
Okay.
finishing the game,
Okay.
multiple levels, and
All
they
right.
would learn at least something about World War II.
Yeah.
All right, maybe a certain operation that was conducted by certain forces. All right?
True.
Or maybe certain elements of destruction, maybe that.
Sir Kessler,
So-
a teacher by choice can only do so, I guess. And a teacher who is by chance over there, I don't find that person would be doing such things.
Agreed, because they do not push their limits.
They do not. And they just roam around the book only.
Precisely.
Not the holy
precisely.
book even.
Interesting. So I've had teachers in my life, and sorry to say that,
Yeah.
but in my lifetime, I've had teachers who were prime example of this very fact.
Oh,
They
yeah.
would only stick to, the written stuff.
True.
What do you think they would ever instill among their students or in their students? Right? Although still respect them.
And
as
to the
teachers.
administrative part too,
Uh-huh.
if you do such kind of things in the classroom,
Yeah.
they consider a major offense that what this person is doing in the class.
Of course.
He is not supposed to be here, and then if you try doing it, you consider yourself gone out of that particular territory.
Agreed.
So, administration need to understand as well that the modern problems require modern
solutions, indeed, and there should be a sense of freedom that should come, with teaching.
Oh yeah.
To exercise your creativity, because
Okay.
if you cannot, deal with your students in a way that is more fruitful to their learning,
Yeah.
I don't think there is a purpose. Forced learning is not learning, in my opinion. You need to make them feel interested in the subject, and the administration, as you
course.
mentioned, they need to cooperate with teachers if they're not going by the book, the proverbial book, once again,
Yeah.
the metaphorical book,
Yeah,
and the literal one.
The way you mentioned the literal one too, and you mentioned the proverbial hand in every pie.
Pie.
I remember that too. Thank you for adding the knowledge,
Of
Kessler,
course.
as always.
My pleasure, all the way. We all learn from each other.
Of course, sir. That's part of it. And by the way, if you want to learn such things, sir, what can they learn from you? By the way, if they come around.
Okay, so I'm not going to brag about anything, but we do have good faculty, which kind of excels in teaching a lot of things. For instance, we have arts and crafts.
I thought, for instance, you have Mubarak Ali Khan in the house.
Oh yeah, the legend right here. And
Oh,
trust
right.
me, he will not disappoint you, especially with regards to IELTS, PT,
That's
OET,
about me. Yeah,
SAT.
that's about me. That's the man. Okay.
Absolutely,
Sir
absolutely.
Kessler, thank you very much. And by the way, likewise to him, let's not speak so much about
Yeah,
him.
that's
So,
I
let's move
scratch
on.
your back, you scratch mine, that's good.
okay, there's the thing. And when it comes to the real new projects we are launching, how would you elaborate upon that? What we are offering to the youth, especially to the young minds? What are we offering to them? For example, sketching, etc. You mentioning.
Okay, so I'll start with this thought, all right, I would
Yeah.
like to share with you. The youth, all right, or the time that you have at this age, I was young, all right, my parents used to tell the same thing, and I never knew what to do. Like, what do they mean?
Yeah.
All right, that's the thing that I used to wonder about.
Mhm.
When they say, don't waste your time, what to do then? Exercise your creativity. Find, places or people or experts or any situations that you could involve yourselves, and kind of exercise your creativity in a way that kind of paves way for you to develop as an individual with skills. All right, because at the end of the day, for a human being, skills matter, no matter what. All right. If they don't help you earn a good living, at least you would have something to do in your spare time, and that could give way to more creativity and more and more. The whole thing would just overflow with it.
Yeah.
So the idea is we have a platform where we can involve you or indulge you in certain activities or certain certain practices where we would develop you both intellectually, morally. I don't know, in terms of knowledge.
Spiritually, you can offer your prayers
we
too.
will definitely try to do that. All right?
Okay.
And we would develop a sense of existence, with a meaning. That's
Understanding
what
of arts, basically.
Arts
would
and
be
sciences.
arts and sciences. Yeah, true.
everything that we can offer,
Okay.
because at the end of the day, what is life about? It's about, you know, knowing your past and understanding the future. All right.
Wow.
We at this point are bridge, or, you know, acting as or serving as bridges, basically.
Yeah, I
Right.
would mention some unbridgeable gap between your present free time with the future productivity.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed.
If you come here and be it kind of any graphic designing, be it kind of digital languages, or there was something else we were offering.
We have archery, we have astronomy,
Archery.
we have classical mythology going on, all right?
Yeah.
We have a lot on our plate to serve.
Yeah.
You come over, you
I
decide
would
which
call
one.
it a platter, by the
A
way.
platter, that would be a better term, exactly.
Okay, so keep putting the things you require. For example, learning language as well as the archery, or maybe
Indeed.
astronomy or something.
We're talking about classical arts anyway.
Of
right?
course, yeah,
Of
and
course.
we're talking about that too. We over here we offer, or we conduct somehow book reviews.
Oh yes, that's part of it
sometimes,
too.
As
exactly.
well as some movie nights.
For the love of literature and art.
Of course, and if you have plans to broaden the steps to go abroad, that's the place to come to. So, speaking all that, and sir is around, I'm around. Why don't you just pay your visit at Ait Markaz Islamabad? Okay, in Ait Markaz Islamabad, or you can dial our contact, that is 051-873-1234 or 0331 the same 873-1234. And I guess that's pretty much for the day. I hope you have learned something. If you have, let us know. And please share the questions in the comment box so that we could add them into our episode 2.
Absolutely, you know, that would help us answer as many questions, you know, as you may have. And trust me, it's lovely to talk about such topics. Which
And it's lovely to talk to him, by the way. And
It's
listen
always
to
a
him at
pleasure.
the same time. I
It's-
hope you agree.
It's always
Sir
a pleasure.
Kesser, thank you very much for your time.
Always a pleasure.
God
Thank you,
bless
people,
Pakistan and the world.
and the world.
Bye-bye.
Take care.